Hi everyone, it's Phil from writingbasics.com, and today we're going to talk about whether or not you should be using the first person or third person when writing your story or novel. And a lot of writers have this dilemma, and it's fairly simple. You write third person if you're using a lot of characters and you're moving away from your main character very often. If this is the case, it'll be difficult to put everything into the first person of the main character, but even worse, if you're going to be switching from points of view, it'll become confusing and really is something an advanced writer should be handling. Very difficult to do. On the other hand, if your story centers around one main character, then using the first person might be the way to go. If you're doing it, you got to remember a few potential problems you could run into. One of them is over-identification of your own persona. So in other words, when you're writing in your character's own words, you got to make sure that your own character doesn't somehow come into the character that you're trying to do. For instance, if you're trying to write a novel about, let's say, a psychopath, and you're obviously not a psychopath, you're not going to convey it. You really have to try to convey it from the way a psychopath would be looking at things. The other problem that you could run into is developing cliches. So a lot of times when you're writing in that first person, if you have like a Marlowe or some other character, you probably want to make sure it's someone unique, because the readers are going to get bored really quickly, especially if the character is not interesting, or if the character is cliche, it's going to it may dissuade them from continuing reading. So definitely those two things are very important. The third thing to remember is that it could be rather difficult to sustain a really good first-person narrative for the length of a novel. So you want to make sure that you have a real uniqueness about the character, definitely doing some characterization at the very beginning, writing everything you can about your character, even before you start your novel, so that you have a good, clear idea how your character would communicate. So those are the two main points. Again, write in the third person, especially if there are a lot of characters and you're moving from one point of view to another, or if somehow you want to create some distance between you and that character, and some authors will do it to try to create an aura of suspense or mystery. Right in the first person, if you really want to get into the character's head and you want to somehow display or show the reader what the character's thinking. And I'm just looking around for a novel right now that's a really good novel. And this one, I've just found it here. This one right over here. The Killer Inside Me. That's a great book. It's written in the first person. Very short novel. It's about 200 pages. But it's about a psycho killer, and it's written in the first person. You may want to look at it, especially if you're doing a study on how to do it well. Definitely Jim Thompson does a great job. And a few years ago they made this into a movie as well. But there's nothing like the book, so I recommend it if you want to just see how to do a great first person. Hope that helps, and please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care.